What is up, guys, and welcome back to the Sweat It Out podcast. Today we have a special guest here in our hometown, Miami. He is a Forbes certified professor. He's a founder of Snap Fitness, Twin City Summer Jam, Elevere Labs, Tasa Lodge, Global Child TV. This guy is a man of service. He's all about his family and friends. Guys, please help me welcome Peter Taunton. How's it going, brother?
Hey guys. Well, first of all, it's going fantastic. Thank you. And what a nice surprise to know a couple of Miami guys. Literally, how funny is it? We're 10 minutes apart.
Yeah,
Crazy,
right?
Yeah.
But next time we'll do this right in studio.
Yeah, absolutely.
For some reason, you guys, most of these things I'm doing them from different parts of the world, different parts of the country. So this is pretty cool.
Yeah, and we always do appreciate the in studio. It's a different type of energy, so we'll be looking forward to that, as well as we've been really looking at our calendars, ready to talk to you about everything that you got going on, man. You've done quite a bit in your career, so I'm sure we will have no short of topics to talk about.
Well, you said yourself 35 years in the fitness space. Holy moly.
Yeah,
I've been in.
How about that? You talk about a run, right? I was in the fitness space for 35 years. And had you met me 35 years ago, I would have been giving you a towel and a locker key. So I literally started at the base, at the bottom board, the bottom rail, right? So, and then, having just, through the 35-year period, being able to build one of the largest wellness brands in the world, surrounding myself with some amazing people, it's been pretty amazing journey. I'm so blessed, so appreciative.
Yeah. How have you, or what are the things that you've been, happy and pleased to see over your 35-year career in fitness? All the industry has changed so much, even since we got in it 11 years ago. It's a completely different animal now. So what are some of the things that you've been, excited and happy about that you've seen the industry change for the better in?
Well, the industry, number one, the wellness space, what I appreciate so much is how beautiful the industry has evolved over the last 35 years. That part of it has been absolutely amazing. And then how not just the industry itself has evolved, but the people. I mean, today, the consumer is so much more educated when it comes to exercise. They're so much more knowledgeable about nutrition and the basic fundamentals of exercise, where honestly, 10, 15 years ago, I had to try to convince people that exercise is good for you, and you're going to have it's not necessarily that you're going to live a longer life, but you are going to have a better quality of life. So it's just really about the quality and the content of how you live. So it's a great place. I've really enjoyed it. And then also to be part of an industry where you're changing lives every day, how rewarding is that?
That's incredible.
I really feel like I've been really blessed.
No, I agree 100%, and that's why, I would have to say, I've gotten myself out of the personal training space, me physically personal training people, and gone more the online coaching route for business coaching to help coach the health and fitness professionals build their brand, their social media, and their fitness coaching. And it's funny because I'm just I can always see myself being an entrepreneur in the fitness space no matter what, because I love it so much and I love the evolution of it, and seeing where it's gone from back then, from even when we started 11 years ago to where it is now. And even now with COVID, how it's shifted things drastically, where it's pushed everything 5 years or 10 years ahead. I think it's going to be very interesting to see where the evolution of health and fitness is going to go. And I wanted to ask you that specifically. What is your take? Where do you think health and fitness is going? And where is some of the attention that some coaches need to start putting on now in that space?
Well, I think with COVID, COVID changed the game, as we all know. So let's just talk, pre-COVID, it was the fastest growing space within the wellness space was the group fitness functional training type of an application. So that's been the most popular segment within the space for the last 5 years, without any question. Now, COVID, we experienced, at one time we had thousands of locations around the world closed, literally shut down overnight. And we thought it might be a 30-day window here, but it was 4 or 5 months they were locked down. And then some of those markets have continued to lock down, and they're now starting to re-back open again. What we've told our staff is, look, the consumer, it's all about consumer confidence. So it used to be when you were cleaning your gyms, you did it after hours. You did it at times when people were not in the gym because they didn't want to see you wiping things down and vacuuming and doing that stuff. Today, we're much more intentional with our cleaning. I mean, we are sanitizing and things almost immediately when people get off equipment. Why? Because perceptionally, we want people to understand that we're respectful to COVID. We understand how contagious it can be. And that we're following policy as best we can. Just to give that consumer the confidence.
Yeah, and I completely agree. I think, over the past 5 years, the group fitness scene has really boomed. I mean, you see all of these boutique gyms, especially here in Miami. It's always a good telltale sign of, kind of the health and direction of the industry, what's happening down here, seeing how it is a very innovative space, right? An innovative area within fitness down here in South Florida. But do you see brick and mortars, like once everything kind of opens back up, do you see brick and mortars popping up again at a similar rate, or do you see it shifting more into like a hybrid model where some people might go in, but they also might do the classes at home? Do you see group fitness kind of dying out and it heading more into like a solely online space? I'd be interested to kind of hear your thoughts on that.
Well, some people are really gun shy about COVID. And I think the more that people follow the science behind COVID, they should have a moment of pause and a little bit of a sense of relief, because it's not what we thought it was. Let's just face it. I'm not contesting that it's not highly contagious, but it's not a death sentence. I mean, 0.8 of 1%. So not even 1% of the population who get COVID die. Now, I'm not being insensitive to what COVID is. And if you feel that you've got a pre-existing condition, respiratory condition, obviously, mask, gloves, do whatever you need to do. You do you. But personally, I don't think long-term it was in the best interest of our country, of our small business, of all of our gyms, restaurants, food and beverage, hospitality. I mean, they've got absolutely decimated from this.
Look at New York.
Absolutely decimated. And, people think COVID was bad. You wait. My prediction is this: going into second quarter of 2021, just going into late of first quarter, going into second quarter, you're going to see a mass shutdown of small business across this country. It's going to sound like a freaking vacuum leaving this country, because there's a lot of people in the hospitality space, food and beverage space, that are hanging on by a thread. And the only reason they're open right now, is because they're hoping for some last push of holiday rush from, holiday parties or whatever it might be. But that's after January 1st. That's generally a relatively slow period for the food and beverage hospitality space. I mean, these people, they're hanging on by a thread. So we've got to do something. We've got to really do something to put the money back in the hands of these businesses.
Yeah, I mean, they said some absurd number like 500,000 small businesses just in food and beverage alone are going to go under. 500,000. Like how many people are employed in that? And there's no guarantee from the government that they're going to take care of these small businesses. It's all big corporations like Walmart, Amazon.
No, you got it. The ones that seem to have done well are kicking ass, right? And the ones that are taking it on the chin, most of the restaurants, the money is not coming back. It's just like in the health club space. When our doors were locked, we could not charge our members their dues because it was just not the right thing to do. So when the doors open back up, you can't go back to the members and say, hey, by the way, I'm going to go ahead and catch you back up on the last 5 months. So that money is never coming back. So now you got to face the brutal reality of, is my landlord going to give me some concessions because I don't have the cash flow? If he's going to hold my feet to the fire, now where am I supposed to get that money? It's a very, very complex. Everyone's got to participate in the road rash coming out of COVID. Mm-hmm. And it's got to take participation from obviously the business owner, obviously the landlords, property managers, government, local governments, the tax side of it. We got to find a way to give small business a shot in the arm. And I don't know if that's through taxes or if that's through, whether it be payroll taxes, income taxes. We just got to find a way to do it. We got to find a way to fight our way out of this, because most of these small businesses, they don't plan to have no cash flow for 6 to 12 months of the year. Nobody plans for that.
No.
Especially you're seeing, states like California, New York.
California's hasn't even like fully reopened yet.
No,
you know what I mean? At all.
They're really hounding on these small businesses, and they're really, really suffering, So it's one of those things where it's just like, at what point, Peter, yourself, being an entrepreneur and you've been in this in the industry for years, and just as a businessman, what do you think, or what's the biggest advice you would give to those businesses out there who've been operating a business for a long time? It's being drastically affected by COVID, being shut down. They're not going to see those returns. Possibly may not even open again. What's your recommendation to those people? Do you pivot? Do you change? Do you get out of the industry you're in? Do you look for a different thing? Do you learn how to innovate and maybe streamline this in a different way that you can make money from? What is your opinion on that?
Well, a lot of that depends geographically where you're at. I mean, take Minnesota as an example. First and foremost, let's just talk about the health and fitness space. That I think if your gym is back open right now, or if it's soon to be opening, you've got to be really intentional with your cleaning. You got to be very visible, because first and foremost, your customers got to believe that you take COVID seriously. Okay, so that's step number one: intentional with your cleaning. Number two, you got to be sensitive to the social distancing component. Even though there's a vaccine out and they're starting to distribute the vaccine, there's still a lot of people that are just unbelievably, afraid and paranoid of this COVID. It's not a death sentence, but people that have got that in their mindset, it is what it is, and you're not going to change it. So I think you're going to see people wearing masks for another year.
Oh, okay, sure.
I believe it.
Yeah,
they're just going to wear them regardless, vaccine or not, and which I completely don't get. So from the businesses, you got to be intentional. Now let's take health clubs in Minnesota. In Miami, they can do some things. They can get creative. They can do some boot camps out in the parks, outside in the parking lots, things like that. You're not going to do that in Minnesota right now.
No.
Okay, it was 15 degrees there yesterday. That's not going to happen. So geographically, if you have the ability to pivot a little bit and do some outdoor things, that's fine. But that's really not sustainable long-term either. The reality of it is the consumer has got to come back, and they will. The consumer is going to come back into the gyms. Mm-hmm. They're going to. In our gyms, we're at about 70% of where we were pre-COVID. Okay, wow. So we're 70%. And we're signing people up that were never members before that are coming back. Well, some people are transitioning from big box or the discount players. Take a Planet Fitness or some of those discount players where you're buying a $10 membership. Those clubs, they thrive when they've got 8 to 15,000 members in their gym. Okay, 8 to 15,000 members. You're going to walk into that club. It's going to be extremely busy, but you're paying $10, $15 a month. All right. Well, a lot of those people said, look, I don't want to work out in that environment anymore. I don't want to work out where I've got people standing around me all the time. So they transition into our gyms where typically, very seldom will you walk into one of our clubs where you've got more than 15 or 20 people in the entire facility, because most of the time, most of our members live within a mile or two of the gym. Okay. So it gives them a sense of comfort. I don't think you're going to see a big change now. Peloton, they killed it through COVID, right? Yeah, they saw a big spike. A lot of the home gym exercise equipment stuff, they killed it. But let's face it, those of us that worked out, we've all probably worked out at our homes before. That's not a long-term solution.
No, okay? I hate it.
No, you want to switch it up after a while. You're like, man, it right. drives you nuts.
I need space.
Especially if you're working from home already too.
Where my gym is, when COVID closed down and when COVID hit and our gym closed down, I was working out right here in Miami in my penthouse here. It was like a jailhouse workout. Okay, honestly, you're doing freaking dips on chairs. You're doing push-ups. It was so old school, and it was you did it. You ran outside, but it was just not the real thing. It and if you went online and tried to buy some dumbbells and things, there's nothing to be found.
No, it's impossible.
Everybody bought up everything. I mean, it was absolutely ridiculous. So I think a lot of people realize that, look, home workout, that's not long-term sustainability. The other side of it too, when you go into a gym, in today's day and age, if you've got to be able to articulate a narrative surrounding nutrition and exercise, you got to find that balance. You got to be able to take somebody that walks in and says, look, here's my wellness goals. And everybody's wellness journey is a little bit different. So you got to be able to be a good listener as to what are they looking to accomplish in their wellness journey, and then help them carve a path to get to the promised land. And that requires, as you guys know, you'll never out exercise a bad diet.
Never.
So it takes, abs are made in the kitchen. So you gotta couple nutrition with exercise, and then not only that, the intensity of how you train, which is why in my brands we advocate wearing heart rate monitors, heart rate based training, so I can tell how hard you're working. I mean, we've all seen it. The same person been in the gym, they work out 5-6 days a week, they're still 20 pounds overweight, they still can't lose their gut, and it comes right down to diet and intensity of which they train. So at some point in time, if you're going to be a great trainer and a great advisor, you give people the honest truth, and you got to tell them, hey, look, we got to tweak your diet, but you got to work out harder. We got to get you to level up like 20% harder.
Yeah. I mean, I was talking to one of my online clients that I have for nutritional coaching, and he's like, I just looked through the program, and it doesn't really seem that intense. Like I feel like I need something more intense. My question was like, why do you need something more intense? Why can't it just be something simple? And the hard aspect of it is your consistency every day. Like there's such a mixed message about, and I don't know if it stems from group fitness or it stems from these crazy social media posts, but this idea that, and I agree with you. I think that you do need to be able to have an intense workout, but not everything has to be so intense. So in certain areas, like your workouts, you do need to kind of push yourself. You do need to level up. Some other areas like nutrition, sometimes it's just about doing the basics and doing consistency and being consistent long-term. How do trainers find that balance, find that bridge where they can actually convey and communicate when it's appropriate to go hard, when you need to back off and just kind of, tread water, when it's important to, stop completely and pivot?
Yeah. So you know what, Josh, you bring up many great points there. First and foremost, I don't care if it's business or training. There's two things that I talk about all the time, and that's discipline and accountability. Okay. Discipline, accountability. You brought up another great word, consistency. All right. And then the fourth word, if you're going to give me four, I throw in perspective. Yep. Because a lot of times people say, hey, Peter, I'm gonna lose 50 pounds. I'm gonna lose 100 pounds. Pick your number. And they say, I'm gonna lose 100 pounds. I'm gonna do it in 6 months. And you say, all right, appreciate your enthusiasm, but that's politically impossible, right? So they don't have perspective. So, and then you try to share with them that that this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. Now, if you've got 100 pounds to lose, clearly the first 40 come off fairly easily. I mean, the next 40 are more work, and that last 20 is a bear, right? So it's giving people perspective on how they're going to get there. And then as it relates to intensity, that's a relative term.
100%. Because
some people, they say, hey, Peter, I train hard. I mean, I can't tell you the amount of time, guys, that I've had somebody say, Peter, I said, how intense you train? They go, man, I train hard. So I put a heart strap on them. Okay, because your heart, you can't fake your heart rate, right? And I just tell them, look, here's where you need to be. And once they're running, and I say, just tell me where your normal cadence is. What is your normal intensity? And then they'll show me, right? This is what I'm doing. And I tell them, if I could just get you to level up even 10%, 10% more, it's just going to take you to another zone, another of your training zone, to where you're going to push yourself. And I mean, ideally, to me, people that want optimal physical fitness capacity, I'm a big advocate of interval training. And I tell people, look, don't run on the treadmill for an hour. Screw that. Go 30 minutes. And do this. Do a slow jog for 10 minutes, get loose, let your body know that you're getting ready to do some exercise, let it kind of blend in a little bit and loosen your joints up. But then the last 20 minutes, do 1 minute of sprint, 1 minute of walk, 1 minute sprint, 1 minute of walk. So you think about it, you're on the treadmill for 30 minutes, but I am not kidding you. It is a ball breaker. Just put your incline at about 8 and then sprint at 8. Do that for a minute and then go from 8 down to 3. Okay, just walk. So you're just walking. You catch your breath and you'll be amazed at, number one, what kind of great condition you'll get in. But number two, just how much weight you'll lose just by just pushing yourself that little bit. And a lot of people, they don't train that way because it's no fun. Sucking wind, for the last 30 seconds of your sprint, it's no fun. Yeah. But it'll give you unbelievable results.
So Peter, I want to ask you, based on what you're sharing with me and the way that you're running your gyms and operating them, would you say that this is a big component that separates you apart from a lot of the other gyms out there? This, hooking your clients up to these monitors, making sure that they're hitting these certain zones and levels. I know I've heard of, other gyms I know Orange Theory, Red Zone. There's some other ones that do some similar stuff. So when you have gyms like that, what is it that, and like you said, you have this, what else would you say separates you from these other gyms, makes you stand out in your facility?
I think Anthony, when it comes to relevance within the wellness space, if you're going to be relevant today, you better be doing heart rate based training. Okay. So everyone that comes in, part of onboarding a member into your facility, it should come with a heart rate monitor. Okay. It shouldn't be an optional piece. With an education to people as you're onboarding the member, wear the heart rate monitor because it's going to tell you the truth of how hard, the intensity of which you're training. All right. That's number one. Number two, I better be able to have an excellent understanding of muscle kinesiology. I'm not talking from the medical position. I'm talking about somebody that says, hey, look, how do I strengthen up my rear delts? What do I do from the outside of my tris? That they've got to have an understanding of an arsenal of exercises for different people with different needs. Different people with different needs with different injuries. Okay? Because as we get older, like for me, if you said, hey, Peter, we're going to do a bunch of heavy overhead presses today, I'm going to say I'm not down for it, right? Because overhead presses for me, that compression on my spine, it's not that every time I do it, but I know that I'm susceptible to tweak, to get a stinger in my back, right? So I don't do that one, just like I don't do bent over rows. So I gotta have enough in my arsenal to where I can give somebody a full body workout with variety that is not going to leave them prone to injury, okay? Then the last piece of it is the most difficult piece, which is the nutritional piece, because that's the piece we can't control when that person leaves the gym, all right? And you got to stress to them, look, you don't pull out the D word. Nobody likes to talk about diet, okay? Diet equates to no fun. So I always tell people, look, I'm not going to tell you that all you're going to eat is celery and carrots. Let's just break this down a little bit. Let's watch our sugar and watch our flour. I mean, you guys, you'd be amazed. Just take the average Joe. I'm not talking about somebody that works out like us every day. Take the average Joe and just tell them, look, watch your sugar, watch your flour, and watch what you put in your mouth 3 hours before you go to bed, okay? So just limiting that, because most people do all their damage the 3 hours before they're going to bed, sitting in front of the TV, snacking, okay? That's where most people screw the pooch, okay? So you gotta have discipline in those areas, but that allows them to monitor. And once they start doing that, honestly, you guys, within a couple of weeks, they're gonna drop about 5 pounds, but they're gonna feel noticeably different. And when they start to feel that difference, when they start to lose a couple of pounds, that movement is motivating for them. And then you can bring them to then you can help them level up a little bit. But when it comes to nutrition and diet, moving somebody from 0 to 100 miles an hour, you're just going to lose them because they're going to say, through this, I'm going back to eating pie.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I
see it all the time.
I eat pizza, I eat pie, I do everything, right? But I do it all in moderation. And I weigh myself every day. And, my ex-wife always used to tell me, oh, Peter, you're neurotic. And I tell her, you know what, I'm just going to set it straight for you. It's got nothing to do with being neurotic. It's got to be with accountability. Yeah. So for me, I'm 6 foot. I like to be between 178 and 182. So I'm really lean. I've got a lot of vascularity. I'm probably 8% body fat. And so that's how I like to roll. And if I get on the scale and I'm like 177, I won't pay any attention to what I'm eating. I'll cheat away, no problem. But if I get on and I'm 183, then I just start pulling it back a little bit. And I've been doing that, you guys, for honestly 20 years, 25 years.
Well, and I think I think you brought up a couple of good points there, right? And one, to just kind of piggyback off what you just said, so many people think that it's like, okay, I'm down to 178, like you said. Okay, great. Well, it's done. It's like, no, it's not done. You're probably going to put on some weight eventually, and you're going to have to take it off, and then you're going to put some more back on, then you're going to have to take it off. And it's these ebbs and flows of a constant battle of weight management, right? That I don't think people really have a solid grasp of. They understand losing weight, they understand gaining weight, but it's this weight management thing that people don't have a sturdy enough knowledge around. And that kind of leads me to my second point is, from a client and a coach perspective, and even a business owner, or gym owner perspective, right? You have to be constantly educating yourself for the simple fact that what happens if you do come in contact with a person who has a certain injury or has a certain lifestyle and you don't know how to help that person, right? That always scares the shit out of me. Is like, I never want to be the type of person who can't at least help you a little bit. I might not, be able to help you enough where you pay for my services, but I want to at least point you in a direction where you can at least have a better understanding of where to head down next. And I think that really comes back into, us as coaches continually hounding on reading books, going to certifications, taking workshops, doing things like these discussions where you can learn from other people in your field and have dialect, even if you disagree with them, right? So that you can have a better understanding of how you can help more people across the board.
Yeah, I think to Anthony's earlier question, the point is being relevant in today's marketplace, being relevant in today's gym space. And I don't care, gym space, or if I'm a personal trainer, if I'm only training people out of their homes, whatever your jam is, you've got to be able to recite a narrative that is applicable to people's lifestyles. And today, you've got to be thinking about living a healthy lifestyle. It is not hard anymore. Okay, it used to be difficult. You can't go into a fast food restaurant today without having some healthy alternative choices. So look, it's about education, and it's about people understanding that just because you're leading a healthy lifestyle, which is hydration, rest, nutrition, and exercise, it's the four-legged stool, right? 4 legs of a table. Use any analogy you want, but if you don't have all 4 of those things intact, the table falls over. So you got to really practice those 4 things, and people have got to understand this isn't work. This is a lifestyle, and it's not something that you start and stop. To your point, if you're ebb and flowing like a yo-yo on your weight, you don't understand healthy lifestyle, because you don't ever just say, I'm out, I'm done exercising. Unless you have some, critical injury that precludes you from that. And even then, if you're not exercising, you got to change your diet, or you're going to put on the weight. I did a podcast on this, and it was months ago now, just on COVID. People were bitching about how much weight they were putting on. And I'm telling people, hey, look, you're staying at home. Okay. You're more sedentary than you were before. So, take a good hard look at all of the carbs that you're taking in, and just literally do an evaluation on what the nutritional value is of what you're putting in your body, because it's a scale and it's outweighed. They're taking in more calories than they're burning. And when you have that surplus, you're putting on weight. You don't need to overthink it any more than that. At the end of the day, it's simple math.
Yeah. But it's hormones. So right. It's all about your hormones. No, it's true. It's calories in, calories out at the end of the day. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, all good. So, Peter, going back to something you mentioned, I think, one of the most important things is in today's world, there's really no excuses anymore to be able to go out there and live a healthy lifestyle. You even look back in the 90s and the 80s, people used to view health and fitness clubs as luxury places. it's a necessity, guys. It's not being, it's a luxury, it's a luxury thing. No, it's a necessity. You even look back at when Bally Total Fitness, I forgot the name before it was even Bally's. My mom would tell me those memberships were like $3,000-$4,000, Yeah. It's even cheaper now, some of these memberships. So it's like, you're even saving money from what it used to be before. There's really no excuse not to put yourself in a position to go and accomplish your goals and be able to live a healthier life. And then going to your other point, people here at home sitting around, like being aware, especially that you're at home more, of what you're eating, what you're doing, paying attention to that, being aware of that, and making sure that you stay on point. Because, I think we said it all the time, especially at the beginning, like so many unhealthy people are so worried about strictly all the COVID little things, and oh my God, and that person's not wearing a mask over there, and that person has this. Oh, you need to stay away from me. But it's like, wait, hold up. It's not because of COVID you're going to get and hurt you. It's because you've been living an unhealthy lifestyle so long that the way COVID's going to affect you is going to be worse. So you need to take care of your health before worrying about all these little things of he's not wearing a mask, he's too close, or I need to worry about what am I eating? Am I working out enough? Am I moving my body? Am I ingesting the right things? Am I sleeping? Take care of your health, and you will see that this scariness with COVID isn't going to be as bad, because now your body is going to become stronger and more prepared to be able to fight on whatever it needs to fight on. But I think people need to shift their attention of being so scared of, and allowing, I would say the outside sources to tell you, hey, look, it's more hand sanitizer, more this, instead of, no, it's more sleep, more nutrition, more healthy lifestyle living, and putting yourself in that space and start winning in that direction.
Go outside too,
Yeah, I think a lot, not everyone, but there's more and more of the population is buying into the fact of leading a healthier lifestyle. Now, once again, it's all relative to what you deem, and subjective to what you deem a healthier lifestyle is. So some people's healthy lifestyle is unbelievably disciplined, where they don't cheat on anything, and everything that they do is just completely tight. That's one side of the pendulum, and the other side of the pendulum might be somebody's on their journey to living a healthier lifestyle, and it might be just eliminating dessert, all but 2 nights of the week. So everybody is different. Not everybody goes to a gym. Some people just walk around the block. Some people never get their heart rate up. But I tell people all the time, if you're walking around and you're 20, 30, 40 pounds overweight or whatever it is, there's a way to get it off, but it's going to take discipline. It didn't come on overnight. It's not coming off overnight. But the key is, if you're going to go to the effort of losing the weight through diet, which is a lot of work, let's incorporate some lifestyle changes to where it's sustainable for you. And that's the difficult part, because you don't just lose it and then it never comes back. It comes back as fast as you lose it, sometimes faster.
So Peter, what do you think is the biggest now, in the health and fitness industry and health in general around the country? Because as you can see, America's always been the heaviest amongst all countries. What is it? 70% of our people, 72% is overweight and obese. Moving forward with that, what would you say is the biggest thing that people need to do? Obviously, besides all the stuff we were doing, but just to shift that mindset of getting out of that percentile that's so high. Like, what is your biggest piece of advice? I know it has to do with everything here, but I think there's more to it when it comes to, there's a lot of mindset components. There's a lot of another whole aspect to it, to be able to start shifting that percentage number. Cause it's sad. It's sad to see that our country is leading in that, and people not taking care of themselves.
Well, people don't get scared anymore about it. There's been all kinds of medical data supporting that exercise and leading a healthier lifestyle through a number of different paths is a good choice. So that's not subjective anymore. That is, you can't argue those points. So it really gets right down to a choice. How fed up do people need to be before they look in the mirror one day and they say enough? Now, for some people, they just get up one day. Some people, it takes a medical scare. Maybe they had a heart attack. Maybe they have diabetes, and they say, "Look, I need to do something. I need to be proactive. I need to address this, because medication is not the sole answer for it." So you could have a medical reason. You could have gone through a divorce, and you say, "Look, I got to put myself back out. I mean, I see this guys all the time with men and
Been
women.
there myself.
Yep.
Yeah, right. So you go through a divorce and you say, okay, now I'm back in the game again. So what happens? I've seen it all. And I consult with a lot of people and I say, look, if we're going to pivot in our life, if we're making a drastic pivot, then let's go all in. Let's change your look entirely. Weight, wardrobe, attitude. Let's go all in, right? I mean, and I think that the people out there, life coaches, trainers, call them whatever you want. You got to have that depth of knowledge to be able to give people an arm up and help show them a path to happiness and joy and prosperity, right? So, and all of it, having a positive attitude is where it starts, and that's the one thing that we all control.
Yeah, and I think you bring up a good point about going all in. And I think that there's a certain type of way when you're talking about helping people get healthier, right? That you can kind of approach that without overloading them too much in one area, right? So we talk about sleep and recovery, nutrition and training, right? And you can even incorporate into their schedule, right? How they're able to optimize their schedule. If you can focus on those four real key components, right? Their schedule, their nutrition, their training, and their recovery / sleep. And just as you said before, just bump them up a little bit, 5%, 1%, and acknowledge and congratulate them on those wins, right, along the way on their path to their bigger goal, right? Because too often we tend to lose sight of the fact that drinking a cup more of water is a win for a lot of people. Yep.
Right.
Eating a salad 3 days a week is a win for a lot of people. And instead of focusing on you didn't lose 5% body fat, but you lost 2, instead of saying, oh man, we'll get them next time. It's no, congratulate them on the 2% and then tell them, okay, here's some ways that we can improve, right? You did all of these things really, really well. And I don't want you to lose sight of the fact that you accomplished that. But there's also areas where we could tweak and we can improve, right? And I think if we do more of that, then we'll have more success with our clients' overall goal achievement.
And you know what I do, Josh, when I'm meeting with people that want to make a profound change, and in my consulting, I work a lot of times it's business consulting, and as I'm helping people through their business challenges, many cases, I've got to get into the mental side of being an entrepreneur and how you win there. And then you go into this other side, which is what we're talking about, the health and fitness, the wellness, the wellness of yourself, of your body. And there's different categories in there. So, nutrition is one. And you've got to set these milestones. You have to set these markers. So think about having 4 categories, being exercise being one, and setting milestones, because somebody on the exercise side of it, they might be a 6 on a scale of 1 to 10. They may be a 6, but on nutrition, they're a 2. Okay. So you look at nutrition, you look at exercise habits, you look at sleep habits, you look at hydration. Okay. Those 4 things, because people don't make the correlation between sleep deprivation and hydration. Mm-hmm. 2 big components, huge. Completely underrated. When people say, hey, Peter, I only need 4 hours of sleep, I tell them bullshit. You don't need 4 hours of sleep. You need much more. You should be getting at least 7. And some people would say 8, but if you're a person that's accustomed to getting 4, 7 is going to feel like you're on holiday. But you got to give your body and your mind time to recover. So having those different silos and then setting milestone markers and then being able to have them be measurable. That's the key, because if people can't see progress, they lose motivation, period. Mm-hmm. And it goes beyond just the scale, because how many times have you met someone, they say, hey, Peter, I'm still 120 pounds. Okay, like I do it with a lot of female clients. Hey, Peter, I'm still 120 pounds. And I tell them, hey, look, you're 120 today looks so much better than it did a year ago. Mm-hmm. It's so much different. You're toned. You've got your. It's just a much different look. So to me, you're not interested in being 110 and looking skinny fat. You're looking, just look healthy. And you see this with men all the time too. You want a leaner version, you know. Peter said, Peter, I'm 180 pounds. I want to be 165. Well, what are you trying to do? I want to be leaner. Okay, I tell him, hey, look, if you could take 175 and ripped, wouldn't you take that versus 165?
Any day of the week.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. But part of that is when you say that, like we all talk about it and we go, yeah, hell yeah, right? Because we know it. But when you tell somebody, look, wouldn't you rather be ripped and 180? They're going to go, yeah. I mean, you think I can do that? Yeah, of course you can do it. Yeah. I'm going to show you how to do it, but it's going to take work. So now it gets right back to perspective. Okay, how hard are you willing to work? How bad do you want it? That's a whole other discussion.
And that's
right?
why it all falls back on accountability.
Yeah.
Right. Discipline, accountability, right? Discipline, accountability, perspective. How bad do you want it? Some people don't want it bad enough.
Nope.
Yeah, I want to dive into, you know, because I think this whole theme of accountability and, you know, making sure that you're holding yourself to your actions really ties into, you know, what we're about in our businesses and what we believe everyone should be about when they talk about becoming an entrepreneur. I want to dive in a little bit into like, how was that transition from you? You know, you mentioned starting out, handing out towels and, you know, scanning people in to where you are today. How did you make that jump from, you know, working in the more corporate side of the gym space to then, you know, becoming your own boss and building the businesses that you have today?
And what's the name of that place you first worked for?
Yeah, well, hey, look, the first gym I worked for was called America's Fitness Centers. And literally I was handing out towels and locker keys. So there was no scanning people in because there were no scanners. Okay. That didn't exist. Right.
Timestamps.
And it's literally, you look at it and when you got really creative, you would incorporate a picture on their membership card. I mean, that's about you'd be doing this number with them looking, you know, it was just, you did what you did. Right. I mean, my God. But I had an opportunity to turn around a failing gym. So when I was 22 years old, guys, I had an opportunity to turn around a failing gym, and it was the gym that I went to as a kid growing up. Okay. Wow. So I was in that club every day. I used to be a professional racquetball player, which is a different discussion altogether, but I was in that club all the time. And anyway, I had an opportunity to turn around this club that was losing money, losing $200,000 a year. The owners were fed up with the gym, and they said, Peter, if you can turn this club around, we'll let you buy us out with the profits. Okay. Well, I had nothing to lose. At the time I was living in Orlando, Florida. I moved back up to Minnesota and I took over this club. And I was fearless because when you start with nothing, you're fearless. So I was able, in 8 years, I was able to turn that club around. Once I had that club paid off, I went to that same bank. I got a loan. I built another club. So I did that. It took me 8 years to turn the club around to where I owned it. And then over the next 12 years, I built 6 more clubs. Incredible. Okay. So that was great. So 20 years of my life, I built 7 clubs total. I sold them all, and I had about $3 million in the bank to my name. And then I got the idea for Snap Fitness. I built my first club. I didn't know it was going to be a franchise concept yet. I built it because one of my employees who had been extremely loyal to me came back to me and said, I don't like who you sold the company to. Would you consider building me a club? And I said no to him probably a half a dozen times. And then finally just said, well, let me think about it. So I eliminated swimming pools and all these things. Anyway, instead of building this 40,000 square foot club, I built this club that was about 4,000 square feet. And instead of 50 employees, I had 2. Well, fast forward that now, guys. Today, I didn't know that was going to be Snap Fitness. So today, I've got across 3 brands, about 6,000 locations in 28 countries. So
unbelievable.
I'm literally, and in my Forbes, in the book that I have coming out called Impossible Hill, my whole story is about how to make the impossible possible, how to take that what seems to be that impossible dream and how to run it down like a rabid dog. I learned so many things over the 35 years that were just nuggets of gold, that were just common threads of my success along the way that I've now put into a narrative to say, look, here are some basic fundamentals, block and tackling, that'll help you succeed in business and in life.
That's amazing.
And it's just, you know, to me, it's just very, very imperative. Now, granted, did I build one of the largest wellness brands in the world? Of course I did. Make no mistake about it. I had the privilege of working with some amazing people along the way. Winning in business, it's a team sport. Don't let anyone tell you different. And you got to have great people who are passionate and they share in the same vision that you do. And for me, that's one of my gifts is I've always been able to motivate and inspire people. I've been able to paint a picture for people and get them to be as passionate as I am about it, because otherwise you're just a one-man wrecking crew and that doesn't work. You need to have everybody pulling deep on the oars in order to win and win big.
Mm-hmm. I absolutely love that, man. And it's, first of all, it's amazing what you've been able to build and where you started to taking those risks and being able to do what you're doing today. I wanted to ask you, because I'm always interested in this, and I know it's a huge part of businesses and being able to make them function correctly. How did you go about the actual creation of your system and being able to duplicate that system across boards onto these different franchises that you have and making sure you keep that same culture and system running effectively? How was that process like, and what were the steps needed to get there?
You know, that's a great question, Anthony. And processes is one of my gifts. Now, when people come to me with a problem, which is why in consulting, when people come to me with a problem, whether it's declining sales or whatever it is, I'm really good at identifying where the problem is. Are we relevant? Are we not relevant? Do we need to shift? Okay. And then once we make the shift, what are the components? What are the steps in the process? So first thing we need to do is visualize it. The second thing we need to do is create a plan of action that is very granular in its detail, because it's got to be granular so you can train someone to to run that lane for you, right? So for me, I created systems and processes across every category: franchise sales, real estate, the build out of the stores, the pre-marketing plan, training, and then post opening. I had people in every one of those lanes, and my job was to make sure that everyone had the resources to keep pushing the ball down the field. And I would always tell people, hey, look, don't worry about what John's doing next door. Don't worry about him. That's not your responsibility. You stay on your lane. It's just like being a head coach on a football team, right? So you stay in your lane. You stay on your job. You focus on you. I'll focus on everyone else. Well, that mindset and equating it to sports. I mean, 1 year, guys, I opened 377 new stores in 1 year. I was opening more than one Snap Fitness a day. Imagine that.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable, right? And if you walked into my world headquarters, you would not see people running around with their hair on fire. I mean, these are people, they were calm, collected. You would never think that we are quietly every day a new store is opening.
Where's your headquarters? Where's your headquarters at?
It's in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Okay. Super cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I still kept my lake home up there. I go back there every summer for a few months.
My girlfriend's from Minnesota. She was born there, lived there for 7 years. Well, she would turn 7, then she moved over here with her mom. But her dad lives in Minnesota.
No way.
Yeah. I'm still dying to visit. I've never been.
No way. Yeah, my lake home up there is on Lake Minnetonka.
Oh, beautiful.
And I have it's a beautiful, beautiful lake. And then I have a music festival that I do up there every summer, a 3-day music festival. It's pretty cool. You guys would like it.
I hear
what's the festival called? Sorry.
Oh,
I'm very interested in that.
It's called Twin Cities Summer Jam.
Okay.
Twin Cities Summer Jam. It's the third week in July every year. So you guys make it up to this year. You guys make it up. I'll hook you up.
Oh, I appreciate that. We'll definitely make sure to do that.
Love that.
I wanted to ask.
I'm not bullshitting you, but you got to take me.
Oh, I'll do it.
Right?
I'll do it. I'm a big
sure,
music buff.
Oh, it's even bigger of an excuse for us to go up there.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I did. Last year I had to cancel because of COVID, right? But the year before that, I mean, I've got great artists. I even got a Miami boy, Armando Pitbull, as a friend of mine. He played.
Okay, that's awesome. That's sick. That's great.
So he's been one of my
Pitbull, Tim McGraw. I had Pitbull, Tim McGraw, Aerosmith, REO Speedwagon. I mean, I had some old school, new school.
Is there anything you do? Is there anything you don't do?
I dabble a lot, man. I dabble a lot. But you know what? Since I stepped down as the CEO, one of the things that I promised myself is I'm only going to do things that bring me joy, that really inspire me, that I can really be passionate about. So I'm really passionate about the music space, because the people within that space, number one, music festivals, you're putting smiles on people's faces. That's just a really cool hang, right? And the artists that I get to meet, that's really cool. They become friends of mine. I love it. I have a lodge in the Serengeti. I have a 5-star luxury resort in the Serengeti, which is my slice of heaven, right? That is just absolutely beautiful. I love nature. I love how primitive that is. I mean, when you're in that Serengeti, man, it is an unbelievable, surreal experience for you. So yeah, you guys ever want to make the trip of a lifetime, I've got the hook up there. My lodge is,
absolutely. No way.
You don't have to ask me, and I'll definitely make sure to go out there.
Yeah,
it's a great spot. You guys will love it.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, man.
Awesome. I know we're coming up on an hour, and I want to ask you before Anthony wraps everything up, what are the things that you're really looking forward to heading into 2021 with health and fitness, with your other business ventures, even personally with yourself? What are some of the things that you're looking forward to doing and getting accomplished next year?
Well, what I'm looking forward to is I'm looking forward to the world getting back to a normal place. Honestly, I mean, it can't come soon enough. I think this is so long overdue. I want the world to get back to a normal place. I want consumer confidence to get back to a normal mindset. I want these people who are struggling financially to feel like they got their feet under them again, and they're on their way back to, the promised land of financial freedom. So that's where I hope people get to, because for me and the businesses that I'm involved with consumer confidence and with consumer prosperity is where my businesses grow. So I'm a big advocate for that. I'm hoping government will get out of the way and give some tax relief where they can, not only for personal income tax for people. When people have more dollars, they spend more. Mm-hmm. It's that simple.
Yep.
So, government has got to get out of the business of trying to manage our money and let us manage our own money. So I've always been a big fan of less government. So I'm hoping that takes hold here a bit. Yep. I personally was sad to see Trump lose, but it is what it is. I mean, it's so those are the things that I'm hopeful for, that it gets to that place. And if we can get there, man, that's been the comeback story of a lifetime.
Yeah, I think we could all agree there, right? Get people back on their feet, get them with some sort of prosperity in their pocket, and let's all kind of get back to our own lives. Let the people dictate
their
financial options,
right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Confidence is huge.
I mean, so many people this past year, it was just one thing after another. They felt like every time they turned around, they were getting blindsided, and it's really difficult for people to survive like that.
Yeah, it's overwhelming. It's very overwhelming.
And that's not the what do you say? That's not the way this country's always operated. So,
no, that's not the American dream.
Yep.
That's not the American dream. That's not the American way. So, some of the socialistic bullshit that's kind of found its way to the top here. I mean, that's not sustainable at any level. You just can't operate that way. You got to be able to. You know what? It's capitalism at its finest. I mean, have an idea, open a business, build your business, and prosper.
Well, at the end of the day, it's what runs the country, moves the country, grows the country. So we got to make sure that we keep pushing that wheel forward.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, there's nothing more rewarding as an entrepreneur and business owner. There is nothing more rewarding for me, satisfying for me, than when I can vicariously experience somebody buying their first brand new car. You remember your first new car that you bought with the new car smell? Buying your first new car, buying your first home, getting married, having your first child. All of those things are just little blessings that I get to have along the way of employing, thousands of people in my lifetime. And it's so rewarding to have had a front row seat to the American dream. And that's why today I don't forget my roots of where I came from. I still stay humble. I'm very kind and passionate and try to help give people a leg up where I can.
Yeah, well, we really appreciate the fact that you do employ so many people, especially within the health and fitness industry. That's obviously what we do for a living. So You know, God bless you there. Two, I want to thank you personally for coming on. I mean, you're such a cool, open, honest person, and I feel like, you know, we had an amazing conversation that I think
Golden
a lot of
nuggets
people
everywhere.
are going to get a lot of benefit out of. How can people reach out to you? What are the best ways that they can get in contact with you if they're interested?
The best way to reach me, I keep it really simple, is just go to my Instagram, which is Peter_Taunton, TAUNTON. That's the best way to reach me. But follow me on Instagram, and I post. There's two different sides of my Instagram. One is what I post on my wall, which is mostly motivational or business related. But my stories are how I roll in my life. And I you know, for me, I'm biased, but I think it's important for people to understand how to roll. You know, how the different facets of success. It doesn't mean it's all self-gratification. It's what do I do for the homeless? How do I help people? And just giving perspective, another person's perspective on what life can look and feel like.
Yeah, that's great.
And it's got nothing to do with money. It's got to do with giving of your time.
100%.
I absolutely love that. And Peter, I want to say for myself again, you know, I really appreciate you coming on here, sharing your story, sharing your advice, what you've built, how you build it, the way you continue to build it, you know, the way you operate, the way you look at things moving on in the future. I think it's just all amazing. And I want to say it's truly a blessing to have you on here and pour on into our audience as well.
Hey guys, it was my pleasure. You guys had great questions, very thought-provoking, and now that I know we're all Miami guys, so next time, happy to come back and happy to come to your studio.
Yeah, it'd be great. We'd love that.
So I definitely want to ask you. I got two questions for you. Number one, what's the craziest and wildest experience you ever had in your career? And then the last question would be, what's the biggest piece of advice you can leave off to all our listeners today?
Well, the first experience, the most surreal experience in my life was when I sold 40% of Snap Fitness. And I was walking down the fairway on the golf course, and my attorneys and my accountants called me on a conference call, and they said, "Hey, Peter, congratulations, the funds have landed." And I hung up the phone, and I went online, and I looked at my bank account, and there was $47 million in my bank account.
Wow.
So I sold 40% of my company for $47 million. And I knew at that point, number one, it was surreal, because I said, there was that moment. I took a step back, guys. I mean, my eyes welled up. I was with my friends, and they're like, "What's going on?" And I said, "Fuck, I did it." I said, "I did it, man. The kid from the 2-room schoolhouse, youngest of 7, I did it. I actually did it." And I knew my life was never going to be the same, right? And subsequently, 5 years later, I ended up selling about 20%, 25% of the company for about the same amount. And it's been a great ride ever since, right? But that was the most surreal experience of my life, because it was truly life-changing, for sure. And then what was the second part of your question, Anthony?
First of all, I really appreciate the fact that you shared that, because I could tell the emotion and the way you were explaining it. It's amazing, because it's one of those things that I'm like, man, me and Josh, we would love to fight to be able to have that opportunity one day, to have that same feeling, because especially when you come from a position where you started where from down here, you worked all your way out, you busted your ass, you got to this, and you got that reward. I think it's definitely probably one of the most rewarding feelings in the world, and I know that we'll be waiting to feel that one day.
I'll be scratching and clawing until I have bloody fingers. Whatever it takes.
I hope you guys do, man. I would love nothing more than for you guys just to be able to knock it out of the park. I mean, I wish that for every entrepreneur to have that feeling, that feeling of success, of that gratitude, of that your hard work actually bared fruit, which is it's an amazing experience, amazing feeling.
No, thank you. And then the last question was, what's the biggest piece of advice you can leave off to all our listeners today in one sentence?
So it's, people always say, it's winning in business. Okay. Business and life. I think everyone, there are some great words there, discipline and accountability are two that we talked about earlier. Discipline and accountability, perspective and persistence. because all those things, those are all four just really great qualities when they work together. Yeah, understanding, having dreams and setting goals, that's a must. And when you dream big. Don't play small ball. Dream big, okay? And then it's almost like setting that North Star out there. Set your stake in the ground. It's way off in the distance. It's so important that you set milestones along the way, because getting there, think about me and my gym. Remember that first one, I was giving you towels and a locker key. It took me 20 years of a grind to get to that, to get to a place where I had managed to make some money, right? And then obviously then growing it into a huge empire after that. But just, you have to have those patience, but setting those milestones gives you a chance to see movement, and that movement is inspiring. Otherwise you kind of fall by the wayside. So, that discipline and with setting those milestones, perspective just gives you that perspective that it's a long road, right? It doesn't come easy. You got to be patient, and you got to be hardworking, and you just can't quit, right? Quitting is not an option, right?
100%.
It's like, but you guys, I can tell you guys are a couple of grinders.
Oh,
you guys
our whole lives, I think. I don't think there's been a day
Hustle mentality.
I can remember where I wasn't grinding.
No, right? And you know what, you guys? That's going to serve you well. Don't change. I mean, think about this. When I was 42, my life savings at 42 was $3 million. That was after saving. That was my life savings. That was it right there. But from 42 to where I am now, 15 years later, I built a $200+ million company. So it can happen just that fast. Okay. Don't think it's never too late. It can happen just that fast, but you can never quit, and you can never stop dreaming, and you got to believe in yourself.
Peter, you're an amazing person, amazing soul. This has been such a great experience, and you said it, be a believer. That's why I wear this bracelet every day says believer on it. I'm a huge believer, and I really appreciate you, because this really influences me to even go out there and believe in even more every single day.
Hyped.
And we're really hyped to just get on there and keep.
I'm ready to run through a wall like the Kool-Aid man.
Just keep fighting the good fight, guys. You guys will get there.
Yeah,
Thank
well,
You
so
guys,
much,
you guys know how to reach me if you ever need anything.
for
You're the
sure.
call me.
Appreciate
Really
that.
appreciate that.
Thank you again for coming on, Peter. And everyone who's listening, make sure you guys check Peter out. Go to his Instagram page, check out Snap Fitness, check out Lift Bands, everything he's got going on. It's all incredible.
Catch us on the next one live in Miami.
Oh, yeah. I
here in
can't
the
wait
studio.
for that. All right. Until next time, everyone.